Good morning everybody, welcome back to another video. It's race day! It's race day! So today we have the Beic Cycling Club road race. Some of you will be familiar with the cycling club, being it was my cycling club that I first started cycling in. So it's a pretty important race for me to support and to ride. That's why I'm so excited. Bowl of granola with some dried fruit, and I'm now going to have a bagel as a treat. We don't usually have bagels. I prefer bagels over bread. I don't know why. I'm aiming for 100 to 150 grams of carbohydrates in this meal. And then about an hour before the start, I will have about 60 grams of carbohydrate, which is 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. And that will be probably a banana and a bar, so really low fat, really low protein, high carb. And then, or I could sip on an energy drink, you know, if I wanted to get hydration levels as well. So plenty of options. And then we start the race at 11. So I will see you in a bit. Okay, quick bike check this morning. I've just been to sign on. In fact, hang on, weather check. Look at this weather. Blue sky everywhere, both directions. Tiny bit of wind. Forecast is going to be brilliant. Anyway, the bike. Here we have my Tifosi Bikes. It's the first time I've actually done a road race on this bike, and probably the last actually. There is no way, shape or form like any aero modifications on this bike. As you can see, training wheels. I did change the tyres. I'm on GP 5000, which are my better clincher tyres that I have in reserve. Plus I had a massive gash in my back tyre from a piece of glass recently, so that's why I had to change them. And nothing else. I've got a couple of energy in my bottles. In my bottles I have some energy. I have, I think, about 40 grams of carbohydrate per bottle, which is not a lot, but when you team it with a couple of bars and, you know, some gels, of course, then, you know, it all adds up. This race is probably, I think, well, it's 115 kilometers, so it's going to be probably just under 3 hours. And I don't have any more bottles. Charlie's not with me, so I'm going to be racing on 2 small bottles here. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Group set, you know, everything's the same. Usually when you show up to these events, the first thing you should do is go and get your race numbers. Go to the toilet if you need to go to the toilet. And just sort yourself out. Get everything done as early as possible, so that, you know, you're then not sort of panicking last minute. So an hour to go before the race. Got a banana. I've got a bar. My warm-up is probably going to consist of about 20 minutes of easy riding. There goes the Wales Racing Academy rider. There's quite a few of them in this race actually. There's about 6 or 7 of them. They're quite young lads. And they're not the only young lads in the race either. In fact, this whole race is stacked with talent. See, West Wales is renowned for like producing like quite like good riders, and they go on to like racing for Welsh cycling, and being that like they come to a race like this in with numbers, then they have the advantage of, like, you know, if a couple of them get in a breakaway, or if none of them get in a breakaway, they can pull it back. So it's a question of sort of watching what they do today. And playing off of that. The development in this area has been great for a number of years, possibly the last 10 years or so, and it's great to see them all coming and supporting, you know, this race, a local race. Most of them would have ridden to it. Maybe some of them will ride after this race. I'm not going to, just because of the volume I've done this week. I think there's 50 riders in my race. I'm number 25. It's a fairly small field. Or it may feel like a small field. I've been used to in the past riding in groups that have been like 200, 210. The Tour of Normandy I did one year, that was definitely over 200. And you just feel when you're in a bunch that's just, you know, 50, or, you know, even by the latter stages of this race, it could even be, it'll feel like being in a chain gang. It'll feel like being in a small group ride. I'm actually really nervous about this race because it's like my home race. Like, everyone I know is marshalling. Everyone, like, I know is in the following cars and the vehicles and, you know, the commissaire's car and everything. Charlie's dad is marshalling out on one of the corners. He's going to give me shouts like every lap. I'd love to win it today. I'd love to win solo, which I've done in the past. This field is much stronger, with all due respect, than the time I rode it and won. But this course, because of the nature of it, it's either downhill, like really fast on one end of the circuit, or this end of the circuit, after the finish, it's like quite draggy and never really sort of goes down. It's constantly going up to that turn point where you start going down the other side of the lap. So it kind of suits me one side and then doesn't suit me the other. But if the course was going the other way, I think it would have my name written all over it, just because of how ridiculous the descent is in terms of like a climb. It's going to be a fun day out anyway, because a lot of the people we're racing with today I've not seen in ages. I've certainly not raced them in ages, and it'd be good just to chat. If I'm going to like give you some sort of tactics, which, you know, is kind of why I do these videos a little bit, I'd like a breakaway to go away but not get like a massive gap. And then I just have like a really hard final hour of racing. Like, that's how I'd like it to play out. I don't think people are going to let me get away just because half the bunch know me, regardless the fact that I'm wearing like black kit today. No one's going to let me get away. So like, part of me thinks like, well, if they're not going to let me get away, then why try anything? And just wait until, you know, when everyone's got a little bit tired near the end. But yeah, the time I won solo, I attacked with about 15 miles to go.
Lap. He's at the front, look.
He's looking relaxed, yeah?
Oh, I think I missed it.
Don't chase each other that way. It is Ed.
Oh, come on!
It is Ed.
Go on, Ed. Go on, Ed.
Go on, go on.
Go on, you got a good gap. Come on. Go, 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 go.
Yeah, no. Well, you've got to go for it now. You can't. Prefer to stay with the bunch a bit longer, personally. Oh, yeah. He knows what he's doing. They don't stress. Come on, Ed.
Go on, guys. Go on. Go on, Ed.
Come on, Ed. 5 tips.
Lap 3, coming up to 2 laps to go.
Very good.
There he is on the left side. Ed's going.
He's feeling it, he is.
Yeah.
Come on, Ed.
Go on, Ed. Last lap. Come on. Come on. Yeah, Ed.
Oh, it's like an oven in here. Well, hopefully there's some footage from some awesome supporters that were on the side of the road. Well, we gave it a good go. I tried getting in a breakaway. Unfortunately, I got away with a very strong rider from the Wales Cycling Academy, Sam Beic. 12-lap race, and with about 4 laps to go, I made a move where there was like this sharp end at the bottom of the descent, and we went up like a 1-minute kicker. And so I went right at the bottom, and I did almost 600 watts for that minute. It was, well, I can only do about 630, 640 for a minute at my max anyway. So it was pretty much max. And I go over the top, and I thought, if I'm on my own here, I'm just going to put my head down and I'm just going to go for it. The last like 30k or whatever was left, I'm just going to go and time trial and try and get a big gap. Unfortunately, he was on my wheel. So that kind of changed everything. So I rode then for a bit, and we got a fair gap, and at one point it was about 28 seconds. We got a 28-second gap within the space of, must have been like 4 kilometers. And the Wales Racing Academy actually had like 6 or 7 riders in the race, and what ended up happening was, because they were able to pretty much sit in the group behind, which by this point the group behind, like the bunch was whittling down every lap, but the group behind had now become like only 20 riders, if that, okay? And when like half of them are almost Wales Racing Academy riders, it becomes very difficult to kind of get like group cohesion, obviously. So I thought, you know, this is a good time to go. And when I got that 30-second gap, I thought there's a potential this can go all the way. Unfortunately, that group behind did close us back, and when they got within like 5-6 seconds, I just sat up. I tried to eat and gather myself for the last like 20k, which was just going to be attack after attack. And the whole race ended up being 3 hours, 119 kilometers. We averaged 40k an hour, max speed 86 kilometers an hour. I'm pretty sure that's the fastest I've been on my bike for a good few years, although it didn't feel like it. Max power 854, average 250, normalized 305 watts for 3 hours, with an intensity factor of 0.9. I average 160 beats a minute, so that was pretty tough going for me. Pretty tough going. A max heart rate of 192. It was actually mad hilly. We climbed almost 2,000 meters, and that's just in 115k. You know, looking around and seeing the equipment other people are on, and deep section wheels, and you know, like 12-speed group sets and skin suits and all these things. I can't complain. I've enjoyed racing my bike today. Been there, put on a great race. Marshalling was perfect. The last lap of the race, or the last lap and a half really, was like super tough. Like the attack that won, it went with like half a lap to go on the rollers before you go down the fast descent. And it was a great timed attack because we were going down this dip really quick. And as we were coming up this little sort of 20-second punchy climb, he carried like a load of speed at the back, and he just came shooting past us. And because nobody was sort of like watching, he just went, and once he got the gap, he was gone. I happened to be like really sort of like mid-bunch and tucked up on the left on the inside of the curb, so I was a little bit boxed in, which is not really an excuse, but by the time the gap had gone, the gap was growing. There was not really any cohesion because we were only half a lap to go, like 3 miles or something. We got down the big descent, and then there was attack after attack, and I was definitely flagging, and I had to play it smart, so I just drafted and waited, and then I went on this really grippy section of road that goes past the petrol station, and it like drops down before you get to the finish climb, and I got away there, but everyone was like in 1s and 3s, and like a little group came across to me because I was on my own. At that point, I was probably about 5th on the road, and I was trying to get across to 4th, who was also on his own. So like the last sort of like, it was like a Zwift race, the last like 30 minutes, because there was lots of stuff happening. And I managed to like get myself in a position where like I was still, like when I got caught by the 3 behind me, I was still in a position where like, okay, if I play it right, I can go really late in the sprint, with it being like a long sort of uphill drag into a block headwind. But the group behind then ended up catching us, which then made everything stall before we actually launched our sprint, and I again was in the wrong position. Like positioning, you're like, you can learn it, but like sometimes it's just the way the bunch reacts. You just get sucked into a bad position that just takes literally a second, and then you can't get out. And you know, you watch it on TV sometimes in bunch kicks. That's all it takes really is for, like, you know, a sprinter to get caught in the wrong place and they can't react. And given that I don't often put myself in bunch sprint situations, my practice at that is not really up to par. So still, I had a whale of a time. I'm very happy to have raced with some of people I call good friends. Lots of young riders, up and coming talent. It's great to see it all. So, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.